Hey ratbags, it's Jade with some great news for console fans. Smalland is making its way to consoles, Xbox and PlayStation in December time. I've been covering Smalland for absolutely years with news and info about when it first got released, then got changed and bought out by different developers to the actual early access release earlier on this year on PC. So now it's going to be arriving for everyone as 1.0. Also, it is leaving early access in December. Let's cover all that news. My name's Jade. Let's go. So it is only coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S on the 7th of December. You will be able to buy a physical copy edition of it for £34.99. And if you do order it by physical edition, it's going to come with some sort of compendium and a character booklet. Kind of weird not to have a pre-order page for either Xbox or PlayStation, or even just a coming soon page, as often early access games don't do pre-orders on digital storefronts. And a bit concerned it doesn't actually state anything about a digital release, but it would be really weird if it doesn't have some sort of actual digital release on 7th December. So I'm expecting that's just an oversight, and we will see news about it actually arriving on PlayStation Store and Xbox Store soon. Now, if you're a PC player, don't worry, you won't have to wait that long until the next update. They do plan to release their third major update before the release, and another update with the 1.0 release, which is pretty cool. Details of that are coming soon, and it does look like that will probably arrive at some point towards maybe the end of October, possibly November, but I would say October's a good shout. It's going to add a brand new area to the map, again, new creatures to battle, more story, NPCs, extra armor, weapons, tools and resources, plus of course lots of quality of life improvements. But they are also going to promise post support as well. They're not just done with the 1.0. It's a decent little survival game. And when it launched, it was pretty good condition in terms of no bugs, but it lacked that je ne sais quoi, that certain something that made me want to come back day after day. Since its early access release though, it's had a bunch of updates that have improved the end game particularly, and it's definitely fleshed out stuff a lot more, with the addition of mounts properly in the game that you can actually tame and level up now, instead of just having them and having them die pretty soon. So I would say it's on its way to being a really cool, good, great, fantastic survival game. I've been curious to see what this next update brings, and obviously the 1.0 launch. If you're a console fan and missed really its early access launch, Smalland is a 10-player co-op survival experience where you'll run around a whole plethora of different environments, fighting bugs, taming creatures and building up bases. You'll come across NPCs that will give you recipes for new armor and new buildables, and you'll have to take on frightening, scary bosses in all manner of biomes. The building aspects of the game are probably some of its strongest features. It's got some really cool things you can do with base building that really makes some other survival games put to shame. And the combat is pretty varied. They're trying to be on that kind of same borderline as maybe Conan Exiles, although it still needs a little bit more work. Overall, the bugs are pretty cool. Some of them got unique attacks. Just needed a bit more variety in lots of the bugs that you come across. The boss fights are probably also one of the strongest features. Yeah, I am surprised it hasn't managed to launch on older gen consoles. There are still a lot of people out there with them, and Smalland isn't like an Unreal 5 game. It's very much a kind, I would say, traditional looking game. It's not blown anyone's PCs away in terms of its visuals. So I would have assumed it wouldn't be that hard to port over. That said, they have made some really cool features that maybe make it a bit tougher. Particularly with your bases, that when you swap trees, you can make a tree your home, and you can move your base from tree to tree. There's like 10 at least in the map, and effectively you can change where your base is. Of course, you can build free flow also all over the world, but if you want to be super safe and not have any bugs attack your base, then the trees are the best spot. But all in all, yeah, it's a good little adventure. I definitely recommend buying it, but just don't go in there expecting it to be like Grounded. In fact, apart from the viewpoint and fighting bugs, it's very much more like Conan or Ark. Something still kind of puzzling me though is, yes, that digital storefront, whether or not or how much it's going to be. Is it going to be more expensive? Is it going to be less expensive than a physical copy? And when are we actually going to see maybe a pre-order for Xbox Store and PlayStation Store? The game's only like £20 on the Epic Games Store, but apparently it's $24.99 on Steam, which is a bit odd. I'm guessing selling it on the Epic Games Store meant they got a discount, as they often do that, I think, with some of the games that are made using Unreal Engine. So if it's only $34.99 for consoles, then yeah, that's only a £10 increase for the 1.0 launch. Or yes, 15 if you're on the Epic Games Store. It's got really good reviews, 92 very positive, 86% positive all time. It maybe didn't have the huge impact I thought it might. I definitely think it affected it not having maybe some proper end game, but it was a pretty decent early access and it was a good start, a good template for what they've done over the last 5 months. So I'm really curious to see what's going to go on with the future updates. Like I said, one hopefully in October, and then apparently one with release, which I'm surprised at given the certification and issues that happen usually with console release. I thought they might have just left that one out for a little while later, but yeah, they are going to be launching with a similar sized update, which is great to hear. I'm never going to say no to extra content. They did have a roadmap up and they pretty much hit most of the stuff that they listed, although we're still missing a few things like stables for your tames. And I'm not sure if they've actually had the official servers go up yet in terms of being able to either rent one or host your own servers, whether or not that's still going to be a thing, as well as some improvements to seasons and stuff. So I'm expecting quite a lot in the next 2 updates, the one in October hopefully, or November, and the one with the 1.0 release in December. I first covered Smalland literally when it got first announced, and it was kind of this very twee, very cutesy style survival game made by a very small group of inexperienced developers. They basically messed things up, couldn't deliver on the game, and ended up selling the rights and the IP to Merge Games, who then took it on board and got some actual development behind it and really improved things and made it a reality. Most people quite like the changes they made and made it a bit more realistic and not so twee, and I've got to say I probably agree with them. And they've stuck to pretty much what they've said, consistent updates every couple of months, and obviously it's only been 5 months since it came out in early access, so by the time it arrives on actual 1.0, it'll probably only be 8 months in early access. That's pretty good. And yeah, I really do hope they do support it post 1.0. I think console release will be massive for the game. Maybe like I said on PC, it just wasn't having enough endgame activities to keep people busy, or possibly there was just too many survival games or too many games out at the moment and no one really wanted to take another punt on early access. But I know so many console fans, especially my grounded peoples, want something new to play, and I reckon this one will scratch that itch. Even as I said before, it's not really like Grounded, it is more like Ark or Conan. It's a sandbox survival experience. There's very, very tiny limited story with just the NPCs and a few bits of notes and lore that you might pick up, but not a real focus. I guess on my wish list, still, I really want them to talk about what's going to happen with factions. That was a big idea for the game, that maybe by helping certain bugs you might piss off other bugs, and possibly there could be wars or battles between them. That's what I was hoping for anyway. If you want to know more about Smalland ahead of its release, then go and check out my playlist. I pretty much did every guide available, every aspect, all the armors, weapons, all the creatures you can tame, all the building aspects, and I've covered every single update with loads of gameplay and loads of guides. And who knows, maybe I can get around now to doing 200 days of Smalland, continuing my 100 days adventure that I did a few months ago on my other channel. Of course, I will deliver you guys the opinion on the console releases. I can't imagine they're going to be bad or filled with bugs or issues. Like I said, Merge are pretty good at console ports. The game, when it ran on Steam, when it launched, was pretty good. It didn't have that many horrible bugs or performance issues. And since it's not actually coming or appearing on older gen, there should be no real reason why it's not working correctly how it should do when it launches on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. And of course, once the next update for Smalland arrives, I'll be there as always. Till next time, ratbags, laters.